Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to another high-powered episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stalkup, over there in Hook'em Horns, Longhorns country, giving old Hook'em Horns for the, what are they, the number 4?
I don't know.
Texas Longhorns?
I think they're number
6,
7, something like that.
All right. We already have Mr. John Wade. What's up? Hello from the Union side. What's up, John? Good to see you, brother. We got, looks like somebody's coming for a victory tonight. Oh, man.
That would be. You talking about me? Talking about me, right?
I think he got you last time. I think he got you. Yeah, I think Daniel got the win last time. Yeah, we got Wade in the house.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so awesome to have all you guys jump in here. We have a really awesome show planned out for you. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to start off with, and so the first thing we have to do, King James, is we have to do DJ 85's Thursday night football prediction. So tonight we have the 49ers going up against the Rams, and I think I'm going to pick Rams 31-20 against the Niners. 31-20, that's my prediction.
Okay.
So
I'll pick the Rams.
So DJ's going Rams.
35-17.
All right. Yeah, the 49ers, man. I have Jawan Jennings, and I thought he was going to be out there by now, but he hasn't. He's still not out there. He's still hurting. So injuries have been killing the Niners. Like, dude, we were joking around. We were sitting there saying they should just put McCaffrey out there, just run the Wildcat, and just be like the whole team, like the quarterback and the running back and the, you know what I mean, just be like the whole team out there. So
they probably score the same amount.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm kicking myself. Like, I actually traded to get McCaffrey. I gave up a bunch to get McCaffrey. Then the first minute I heard he was getting hurt, that he had a calf injury or something, I traded him. And, you know, I was like, whatever. And it was dynasty and everything. And I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want to hear the injury thing all year. And now he's just going off. And then I'm going against him. So Daniel's talking smack about the Cowboys, you know, so yeah, that's true.
Offense playing good. We get a little defense. Watch out.
Yeah. Wait till you see the quiz, Daniel. I got it dialed up just for King James and Cowboys trivia, so he's gonna learn some stuff about the Cowboys tonight, you know.
All right.
Yeah, you have to crawl before you can walk, you know, like that's why the Broncos are up at number 14 spot in the power rankings this week, so that's pretty good. See them in the top 14.
Bullshit, boss.
Yeah, and you know, we got the Midnight Blue is back, baby. We have David Engelhardt. He's got the Lions going. All right.
Hey, David, that's
cool.
Oh, by the way, this coming weekend, I'm going to start adding all the deathmatch questions on. We finally caught up with everything. And I tell you, man, we had they wanted to take we'd already printed like 3 or 4 books. And since it was in color, they come back after they took it to printer and said, can you take and put all of these in a higher DPI? I had to go in and figure out how to do everything. So I had to go all the way back through the code change book and save all the illustrations again in a higher DPI and then place them back in the book. And for 5 days, that's all I did. I just couldn't, because I was like, we got to get the freaking book out, man. Y'all can't tell me this at the last minute. You know, that's what you want. But we got all that. So now I'm finally taking a little bit of I was so happy I went and played golf yesterday.
Nice.
I just had to take a day to myself.
Well, as always, we have a clip of the week. You're going to love this. So we have these guys out there that like have to copy me and King James because we're so awesome. And so they like steal our topics and then they go try to spin them and make them their own topic. So you're gonna love this. I'm probably gonna have more rebuttals on this because he's always calling me out, saying I don't know what I'm talking about. But this particular individual, I'm just gonna say it's Paul Abernathy. He's just a liar. Everything he does in his podcast is just a lie, and you'll see through it. It's
Let's
pretty
see
funny.
what he said.
Yep, let's do it. Here we go.
Determine that it is likelihood that it needs to be examined, adjusted, serviced, or maintained while energized. The reality is that is not going to be the case. And you can argue differently all you want. You're blue in the face. You can say I'm arguing on the side of cautiousness.
Stop a
I
minute.
don't care.
What is he talking about?
So he's saying 110.26a, likelihood to be worked on while energized. So he's saying this is based on a class 1 transformer, just like we talked about.
Okay, so okay, I didn't know what it was about. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so class 1 dry type transformers, likelihood to be worked on while energized. Okay. Ryan says you have to have working clearance. Now here's Paul disagreeing with Ryan.
I have installed plenty of transformers in my day.
That's a lie.
And I have not had a need to get back in those transformers. When I need to check voltage or check everything, I can do it at the secondary conductor side that terminate, or on the primary side to make sure the voltage coming in is right, and then check the voltage that is coming out on the secondary. I don't need to do anything other than that, okay? And you can say differently, but it's really not the case. Now, so for a transformer, there is no real need for me to examine it. There's no need for me to adjust anything, right? There's no need for me to service it. There's no need for any maintenance on it. It's done. And if I do need to do it, maintenance on it, I don't need to do it while it's energized. Okay? Now, again, we can sit here and argue semantics, play devil's advocate, say, well, Paul, I'd like to always err on the side. Well, you know what? You don't always have the luxury to have this type of working space on something like a transformer, depending on where they're located.
So, to me, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you don't always have the luxury to have working clearance on a lot of different electrical equipment. And if it's not likely to be worked on while energized, it complies with 110.26a. So that's where these guys are getting a little wrong. So you'll hear this as we keep going.
Okay? You don't always get that luxury. If you want to do that and you want to make sure it always has working clearance from the access where you would get to the lugs, then you do you, boo. You do whatever you want. I am of the opinion, and I have done enough transformers that I have never needed to get back in that transformer. And if I did, I shut the power down, lock it out, and then I work in the transformer, check the lugs, do all that kind of stuff. That's it. No other need. Now people say, well, what about thermal imaging? You can do that. You do not need to remove the cover to do that. So again, but at the end of the day, I tell people, you do you, boo. Whatever you feel is necessary for you to do what you got to do, you do it. My personal opinion is that I would not need to have working clearance for a transformer. That's just me. All right? You can, I get it. Some of you are going to disagree. And again, my haters are going to be hating on me. I get it. It is what it is. Now, what we've had some people in the comments on some of the social media platforms will say, well, that should go the same for the disconnect for an HVAC unit, outdoor air conditioning unit. Not so fast. So under the 2023 National Electrical Code, under Article 440, they were very clear to add this, although I think it was always there, because that is a location under 110.26 that is the location to where typically the service technician, before they go pulling anything loose inside of that air conditioning unit, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go and they're going to check to make sure they have the right voltage there, that they haven't lost the leg, right? So it was 240, but they've lost one of the legs. It's only 120. So they're going to go, because the disconnect is easy to check. You just pop it right off, boom. Okay.
So I'm going to disagree with that. Like the thing is that basically Paul has never done service. I have. And you go out there, you go out to this pull-out disconnect, the unit's running, you pull the disconnect, you hear the unit shut off. You know it's off now. You don't have to pull anything apart at the disconnect. You pull it out, you shut it off, you're like, cool, you're shut off. the HVAC tech goes and opens his unit up and verifies it's de-energized. You know, we're not, as electricians, we're not putting ourselves in harm's way. Like, we're not having to open anything up while energized. So that's why I'm going to disagree with that when they say, oh yeah, this certain pull-out disconnect has to have working space clearance, you know? And David Englehart says, has anyone seen a transformer at Home Depot, man? 15 feet? Yeah, 100%, David. Yeah, they're always mounted up there way high, and that's what we just covered. It doesn't have to be readily accessible. The code says, you know, and you know, yeah, and yeah, go for it, David. Yeah, send us pictures. You know, that's cool. I'll run them, and we'll even throw them up here, and we'll say, hey, here's a bunch of pictures David sent us. But the thing is that this is what we're saying. It's not required to be readily accessible, and it's not required to have working clearance. He's sitting there agreeing with us on that, saying, yeah, you're never gonna have to work on it while energized or anything. But now it's just different for an HVAC disconnect, and you know, like basically the only thing I could see from that standpoint when you have this pull-out disconnect is that you have to basically be able to safely operate it. You don't have to have working space clearance on that pull-out disconnect.
Well,
but
listen to what he said. You can't pick and choose. This is what it gets into, and this is what we have been stating for a long time. I went over this. You know, somebody sent him the link so he can learn something. I went over and I explained about your different conditions and everything, and likelihood of occurrence. And you know, when you start getting into these different things, there's a way that the 70E committee looks at it. He's not on the 70E committee. He's probably never even studied the document to even know what the real reason is behind it. And when we go in and we start looking at these different things, we're always looking at it from the stance, are you going to be working on it while it's energized? Period. It's not, you know, when you come in, you've got a disconnecting means. You can come in and you can protect yourself and everything to verify that it's de-energized. Once you verified that, you don't need a clearance, period. In the discussion. Yeah. It's not required. But say, think of it this way. Let's say I have one of those pull-out disconnects. You just have the pull-out, okay?
Yeah.
Then you go over to the AC unit and you check the AC unit, got your clearances and everything, so you can work on it, and you check to verify it's de-energized. Do I still need a working clearance around that disconnect? I mean, that's why it makes no sense what he's saying. You can't pick and choose where you want to apply it. Where, you know,
so you're sitting there telling me that I need, like, let's just say it's 208, whatever, and you're saying I need to put a refrigerator box in front of that pull-out disconnect. Now, would you say you have to put a refrigerator in front of that unit compartment that you're calling an outlet?
Yeah.
You know, it's the picking and choosing that's just ridiculous. Like, you do not need to have working clearance on a non-fused pull-out disconnect. There's no reason to have that clearance. All you need to do is just be able to safely operate that disconnect. You're going to pull it out. You're going to shut it off. You're going to hear the unit shut off. You're going to know it's off. There's no reason for you to open the cover of that disconnect and try to verify voltage. No. You know, you heard the unit shut off. You know it's shut off. You know it's dead. Now, once the service tech opens the cover, there could be like, hey, I'm still getting voltage here. I've had that before. And then that's when we go to the panel and we have working clearance and we suit up and we do everything, electrically safe work condition and everything. And now we're working on equipment energized to try to see why there's still voltage at the equipment. But at the same time, we're following the guidelines of 70E and we're not putting ourselves in harm's way.
Let me read, because this is where they're getting this. And I want to everybody share this podcast everywhere so everybody can hear what we're stating here. And we're giving a reason behind it. So when you look at 110.26, what it says, the first words are working space. Okay, then it says and access to and egress from the working space shall be provided and maintained about all electrical equipment, and to permit ready and safe operation and maintenance of such equipment. Okay? Now, when you come down and you pick up A, now let me say this also. I wouldn't even need to make this statement right here. All I have to do is get rid of A if that is the case. All right? I don't need to have A, because when you go down and pick up 110.26A, the heading states working space. Okay? So what we're talking about here is the type of working space where you need to have this clearance. See, this is what gets me about this. If I look at 110.26, it says working space. It says, oh yeah, you got to maintain it, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, the reason it doesn't tell you to do it, because you're going to go down to 110.26A, and it says working space for equipment, and it says here, likely to require examination, adjustment, servicing, or maintenance while energized. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, let me explain this. If I take and I'm doing a thermography scan on that equipment, I pull the cover off and everything. Am I doing an examination?
Paul said you didn't even need to take the cover off.
I'm giving a point here. I take the cover off and I do a thermography scan on that. Is that examining the equipment? Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm telling you right there, what he said. And I'm showing everybody here what it says in the code. What he's saying is 1,000,000% incorrect. You cannot pick and choose like that. And the reason that you don't need to take and worry about examination here is because you're going to set up, and that's where I got in and I started talking about the different things where you got likelihood of occurrence and all this stuff. Now, let me explain something so everybody understands what I'm talking about here. If I'm going to work on something energized, okay, am I required by 70E to provide my limited approach boundary and arc flash boundary, yes or no?
100%.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if that is the case, and I go over and you look at, and I'll tell everybody to go look at this table. Go look at table 130.5C. That's where you're going to pick up what they're talking about here. And one of the things, the second one, when you pick it up on the left there, it's going to talk about all the different type tasks that you would do in this case. And it says performing infrared thermography and other non-contact inspections outside of what? The restricted approach boundary. Now, the reason you're outside the restricted approach boundary is because you did your verification, you turn it back on, then you do your thermography scans, everything's good. And what does it say? Whenever I'm worrying about this, and the thing I want to point out, it doesn't give any voltage levels or anything here. Okay?
Right.
This is just, you're just doing a thermography scan, that's it. It asked me at that point, the likelihood of occurrence, is there the possibility of an arc flash incident? Well, there could be, but you're not going to be inside that area. Therefore, you're not inside what? The working space, the limited approach boundary, or what else? The arc flash boundary. Now, that's what I want people to understand. You know, I've made this statement many, many times. And you got people over at ECD like Jeremy and Ted Fritz and Bowers and all them. They all they know is what they read in the code. They have no comprehension whatsoever of how all the other standards apply. And a lot of the changes that have taken place, probably about the last 5 cycles, have come from different standards into the code that relate to what? Safety. And if you don't understand the 70E document, you're going to have trouble applying the National Electrical Code and what the meaning is for the change that took place in the National Electrical Code from that particular NFPA standard that we sent over.
Code cycle.
Yeah.
So So did you have a code change? Did you have anything code change for 110.26a?
This time,
Yeah, in 2026.
I don't think so. I can look here.
I mean,
quick.
if
I can let you know.
like if there is a change, that's cool. But the reason that is so funny is you see these guys like put them in their code change publication, and you don't even have it in your code change publication because there's no change. It's
Yeah,
still the same.
I don't think we did anything on 110.26 at all because
Yeah, it's still the
there
same
wasn't
as-
any change. Let me look
It's
here.
still the same as 2023.
No, we do not have anything on that. The only thing we had stuff that took place was in 110.16, 22A, and then 110.39. That was
Nice.
it. So,
Well, and it's just to go to show you, like, this was in Ryan Jackson's code change for 2026. It's like, why are you putting this in a code change publication when it's not even a code change? There's nothing different. It's if you learn 2023 the way it's worded, it's still the same in 2026. Just why would you need to call it a code change? So I don't know. Well, I
okay,
think
let me
you'll
go a little
like it.
further. You got people like Ryan Jackson. He goes out and he starts saying something, and there's a lot of people believe a lot of what he says. And Ryan Jackson is the type of person that has no clue how to apply 70E. And I'm going to prove this. This was a couple of years back. He was showing a picture of you had posted on something. I don't remember everything about it, but he posted that.
I could review the story a little bit. So it was me and Bob Cook. We were out in a gas and oil project on a medium voltage equipment, and you'll find this interesting. In that picture, we were outside of the restricted approach boundary, even though it's 4160. But the problem is that I learned this real quick. You would not want to be in that building when those motors are starting up. Those motors could ramp to full speed in half a cycle.
Yeah, you don't want to be in there.
They'll cause an EMF force. You're not going to have the covers off. You're not going to be anywhere near that thing. That's where they came up with the chicken switch. You're going to hit that chicken switch, when you turn that baby on, because you don't know what's going to happen and you don't want to be anywhere around it. Well, here Ryan Jackson goes and says we're working on it while energized on 4160, and that's fine. Like it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal if it's like energized, not under load. But you can't just assume, especially in medium voltage, that like the control building could trigger something and turn one of those motors on or something like that, and you're in a really dangerous position. So it was really foolish by Ryan, and I called him and I said, Ryan, dude, I would not be anywhere near that baby if it was live 4160. We were just joking. I sent the picture to 70E group, and I said, hey, we just found our medium voltage tester. Kind of threw Lemonhead under the bus a little bit, and here I'm being a bus driver. But I threw Lemonhead under the bus, and I said that he was our new medium voltage guy for testing medium voltage. And it is legal to test medium voltage, the presence of medium voltage, 5 foot away, at a 5 foot distance, because you're not entering the restricted approach boundary.
Well, where this really took off is Ryan stated that you didn't have the clearance for the arc flash, and he said you needed to go over and look at 110.26A to get that clearance. He stated that, and it got sent over to me, and I went over. I said, "Hey," I said, "you don't know what you're talking about." I said, "You got to go over." I started explaining it to him, and then all of a sudden it just went quiet after that. But
oh no, what happened was he called your dad. Remember?
Oh, he did call my dad and told my dad, "Would you tell James to quit disagreeing with me?" And Dad said, "What'd you say?" He told him it doesn't matter. And he goes, "Well, he said, Ryan, if you're saying wrong stuff, he goes, you can't leave that out there for people to believe that. And
True.
and Ryan said, you're just like him. He said, no wonder where he gets his attitude from, and hung up on Dad.
Damn.
I was like, yeah, well, that's typical, you know, when you get proven wrong and showing you don't know what you're talking about. And
well, and that's the reason I wanted you to hear this audio, because there's a little bit more. I think it's like a couple more minutes, but you'll like
let's
this.
see what he says.
Since in opening up the air conditioning unit outdoors, when you can check voltage and all that basic stuff right there. So, in order to take voltage readings and things like that, then obviously you're going to do that while it's energized. Makes sense, right? So in that scenario, it was very applicable. Okay, now one of the things to hammer this home is that in 440.14, in the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code, they added one last sentence to 440.14 for location. That is of the disconnecting means. They added one sentence to the end, and that said, disconnecting means shall meet the working space requirements of 110.26a. So right there, you've lost that entire argument when it comes to air conditioning disconnects. They have to have the working clearance. But again, I believe they always had to have it, because that is the logical place that you would take a reading for voltage. Now, that's exactly the same thing for the transformer.
Stop right there. Are you trying to tell me that this is somebody that hasn't done much electrical work?
True.
You're trying to tell me this is the way you're going to do it, Paul. You've got a pull out disconnect there. You pull it out, and you're going to take everything off to check the load side terminals there, instead of doing it there at the AC unit. And you're going to tell me, golly, I mean.
And he's telling us how we need to interpret the code. He's saying, oh, yeah, this 440, I think it's 440.13. I don't remember exactly, 440 something. They're saying, okay, now this 440 says that you have to have working clearance on all disconnects. No, it doesn't say that.
No, it doesn't.
It says it has to comply with 110.26a, and it complies. If it's not likely to be worked on while energized, it complies.
That's right.
It doesn't have to always have working space clearance. So stupid.
I'm going to go to the primary disconnect, or if there's a panel in the site, I'm going to use the breaker that's in the panel as my disconnect. I'm going to go right to the panel. Of course, that panel, we take reading and all the time.
Stop there.
We add breaker.
So if I don't have a disconnect there and I come straight from the breaker, you're going to tell me you're going to turn the breaker on, you're going to check it there instead of at the AC unit?
Yeah. That's stupid.
He just contradicted himself. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why is because he's not an electrician. He doesn't do this. He doesn't know. He's trying to just interpret the code without being in the field.
We add circuits. We do all this kind of stuff, right? So we have to have the working clearance right there. So that's a given. But in the transformer, it's unnecessary. But for everybody out there that says, well, same thing applies to the AC unit disconnect, it does not. And then prior to the 2023, it still was the most logical location for testing voltage and making sure both legs are going to the equipment, all that type of thing. That is where you're going to do it before you start opening up equipment. At least that's what technicians are trained to do, whether you do that or not. And you go straight to opening up the equipment, that's on you. That is
stop right there. That is I've never seen that before in my life. They pull that and they open up and check it there. I'm gonna tell you what, for him to say that, that's embarrassing. He should be embarrassed to say something like that. He said all maintenance personnel he knows, that's what they do. I'm telling you right now, that is not what they do. They go over there, they pull that off, they unscrew it. I've watched AC guys work on equipment. They don't go over and that he does not know what he's talking about.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like, usually they'll get us out there and they'll say, hey, we need you guys to kill the power for us. And what I'll do is I'll have the breaker on and I'll go over to make sure I got the right unit and I'll pull it and I'll be like, is that the unit you want? He's like, yep. and then I freaking go over, I kill it, then I go to the unit that it's supposed to do, and I'll go kill the breaker, and I'll make sure that's the right unit and everything, and I'll make sure that there's no power going out. I'll make sure there's no power coming in, and all I got to do is take my glow stick and stick it in that pull-out socket, and if it's dead, it's dead, and I know that he's in electrically safe work condition, and I don't need to, like, suit up and all this crazy stuff like all these guys, like, oh, you're going to be pulling the covers off and getting exposed energized parts, and it's ridiculous. It's a huge misinterpretation of the NEC.
And the first thing I want to do is get there and make sure that, okay, I'm getting 240 volts to the disconnect, okay? Everything's good. I'm getting 240, and then I'm going to go to the secondary and transformer. I'm going to take a reading at the secondary. I'm going to make sure I'm getting out of that transformer what I'm supposed to get, and then I'm going to say, okay, transformer's fine. If I'm going to do any maintenance on this transformer, retightening lugs, or whatever you may have, then I'm going to shut it off. There's no reason for you to work on it while it's energized. There isn't. No need at all.
Is there a reason for you to work on that disconnect while it's energized too? That's
Nope.
non-fusible? That's
Nope.
what I'm saying. You're picking and choosing there, brother.
Are you going to take anything apart or make inadvertent contact with energized terminals on those BAVs that we talked about?
No.
Where you're above a grid ceiling? Like, am I okay to, like, leave those energized while unqualified people, like, work on them while energized when there's no terminals that are likely to be, make inadvertent contact inside that equipment, because you cannot open the door if you don't shut that switch off.
And he's supposed to be master of the NEC, isn't he?
He's supposed to be, you think. I think that's kind of racist.
Okay.
But
All right. Well, hopefully that was enough information to help you in this episode, Master of the NEC podcast. Make sure you subscribe and join us every Wednesday.
So, we gotta play Daniel's music because that's the only way I can describe that. But it's so funny. He got so mad at me when I played the music, so I do it every time now. But it's just funny because you see how it's like picking and choosing. Like, oh, over here you don't need working space, but over here you do.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna respect that kind of David sees it clearly. Oh yeah, you don't need working clearance on this case, but you do. So that's a good point too. Is there's a whole bunch of disconnects that are mounted up high for like
Sure.
for like unit heaters and stuff. Do you have to have working clearance on those? You have to have working clearance on a disconnect mounted 30 foot up in the air next to a unit heater?
No.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know where they're getting this from. They just, it's the whole
I'll tell
thing.
you where it come from, because they were arguing over it, and I said, you don't need a working clearance around disconnect. And they were, oh, yeah, you do, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you don't. I said, if it's a fusible type, I said, yeah, because you could go in there and check your fuses and see if you have bad fuse. You're doing that while it's energized. But before that, you verify it's de-energized. That's why you don't need the working clearance. And you do all the protection techniques and everything you need by 70E. And once you verify it's de-energized, and you can take all your stuff off and everything, you're ready to start working on it. It's that simple.
Dude, I didn't even tell you. We had a celebrity come by the other day, and man, I was really liking his statement.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
I told him give us a 3. We needed a 3 for King James. Well, I was like, come on, Broncos country 3 times, man, just for King James, So
There's
I
only
just
one
wanna
America's team. Y'all just going to have to get used to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. So should we do the meme?
Yep, let's roll it out.
so the cork is popped on my new job. I'm actually a communications electrician technician, so I can get pictures like that sometimes. But I thought this was really hilarious. Looked like an osprey nest up there. Like
At first, I didn't get it. I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" Then I saw the nest. I was like, "Okay, I get it now."
Yeah, so it's kind of like an inside joke between all the like telecommunication guys, because like anytime we like go to site, we have to like nest in. So we have to like nest into the site, and then we can't leave the nest until we like tell them everything's green and clean and green, and then we can unnest, you know. But that's why I wanted to do it, because I thought it was pretty funny when I saw it. I was like, some of these guys I work with think this is pretty funny. Like, I don't work with all electricians. There's some telecommunication guys and stuff like that. They run all the radios and all the repeaters and transponders and stuff. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. So we had another celebrity stop by, and he asked me a really cool question.
Where's the myth of the week, Willie?
Right
I
now.
was like, all right, let's see.
Here we go.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right, so this was a really interesting myth. This just happened like a few days ago. We were sitting there putting in a receptacle. We had some of these Stay-Con devices, Crimp-on devices, and it's stranded wire. Like, what else are you gonna do? Well, this is not like a listed thing. Like, there's a lot of weird, kind of crazy stuff going on in this picture. Like, I love the comments. Like, keep the comments rolling in. Like, that was so awesome. Everyone's like, that's a mud ring and there's no drywall. Like, what's going on there? So, I don't really know. I just got it from Google Images. But it was really funny because you see, like, so many things wrong with this picture. To me, right away when I saw the hot and the neutral so close together, I was like, wow, that's pretty close. I mean, like, those things are basically touching each other. That's a little spooky. I don't know that I'd want that. But the thing that you run into is these spade connectors are not listed to be on these devices. So this picture is actually a code violation. These devices, and I could be like the other code guys and make assumptions and say these are 100% not listed for this application, but I don't know that. There could be a chance that these are listed devices. I would say no, because there's only one device that's listed for this termination, and that's Hubble. And the thing that's interesting that you'll notice about the Hubbles is they have a clamp feature on their terminals. So it's like, it's really dumb that you would even say, oh, that's the only device that's listed to do this, because you don't even need a crimp in that case. You could just put the stranded wire right in the clamp, so why would you need a crimp lug? And then, so when you're crimping these on and you're putting them underneath a device terminal, you're actually causing a code violation. And to me, honestly, do I think that it's a real world problem? Probably not. Like, this probably works fine. There's probably never been any issues with this. There's no tape on it. Like, we got to bring that up. Like, why do you have to tape it? Like, to me, honestly, I probably would have taped these just because how close they are together. But I don't think it's required. The code doesn't require it. But from a myth standpoint, this myth is confirmed. This is actually a code violation to use these Stay-Con terminals and put them underneath the device terminals. So I don't know what you came up on it, but this is like kind of a long-standing myth, and I kind of think it's a little ridiculous, but also, the code doesn't override the manufacturer's instructions.
Yeah, where you get into this, this is things that you need to think about when you're dealing with your crimp terminations. And there's a standard there, which is the IPC, WHMA A620. And they basically go in and talk about things that you look at. And of course, you can't use solid, it's got to be stranded and all that. But they get in, they talk about your pull force testing and your crimp height measurements, and then the visual inspection and what your wire diameters and everything are. And most of it really, it gets into basically the listing and labeling of it from the terminal manufacturer, and it all gets into where it complies with your standards, the SAE, the UL, and Chapter 19 of 620 of the IPC. So I sort of looked at all this. There was nothing in there. You know, it really, what it comes back down to is they have their requirements for the crimp terminations, but there's also the part you have to look at for the equipment that you're terminating to. And that's where you get into making the decision if you're violating using a crimping method or not. And but for people that want to have a little bit of extra insight where to look for this information, this is where you're going to go.
Right.
Okay.
And you think that they are, having that different termination, like you have those different materials that are like making contact. And so I think the reason that this is not tested or listed is because they have never tested those terminals with that wire.
That's right.
Going to that the same way. So I think that's why it's actually a code violation.
Yep, I agree.
So, no, pretty awesome way to put it through. And now,
Where's the myth of the week, Willie?
you just saw it, Mike. You just saw it. It's over there. It's over here. So, it's pretty awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, joining us. Appreciate it. And I guess we'll go to your topic because you never get a topic anymore. So we gotta.
It just seems like you get all these freaking audio things come in.
Dude,
an hour on them.
Dude, can you be any dumber as a code instructor than to go out there and try to act like you do stuff out in the field when, dude, he has never installed a transformer in his life. Like he's sitting there, oh yeah, I have to install plant transformers. Yeah, you hang them sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you've never installed a transformer in your life, dude. But
hell, I remember when I first got, I worked for my grandfather. Hell, I could already wire house 16. But I remember going on commercial jobs and I 16, 17 years old and cutting the strut and everything and all thread and all of that and getting the transformers up there and anchoring them down and all of that. And shoot, I remember after I got out of high school, I worked downtown in Fort Worth on one of the high rises, and we were running bus duct up between the floors. It was really interesting because they actually there's a lot of people probably never even done this type of work, but you actually get it up to the floor, and we would put a chain on it and everything, and then we'd drop it down to the floor, the hole that we had, and then we go down, we bolt everything together, plate it and all that. Then you come back up on top, and then they had like these clamps that went on the sides and everything. It had little shock absorbers on it that you put on there for in case the building moved and all that. But I remember running that all the way up between them floors, and then we come off of that and go wherever we needed to go throughout the building. But man, I'll tell you what, that bus was heavy as hell too, boy.
So I got a story about that. So I actually laid out the concrete holes for that. And so I did all the blockouts in the forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I laid it out with the plumb bob. And so what I did was I put the equipment where we needed it. It was a 4,000 amp bus duct. And you had the disconnect, then you had the bus duct part that connected to it and everything. That's where we made all the terminations, And then it was 4,000 amps going up through all these floors up.
Yeah,
8
I think
stories.
that's what we ran was 4,000, if I'm not mistaken.
And so what I did was I put the equipment where I needed it on the basement level. And then I went to the form and I put a plumb bob and I put 4 nails through the form.
Yeah.
And then I said, I got to be at least wider than this. So I took plywood and I put them to the outside of the nails.
Mm-hmm.
And I formed it together and I was like, this is our block out, you know. And then I did the first floor and then we went to the second floor. I did the same thing. They set the form. I took the plumb bob. I put a nail on the inside of it. I put a nail, put a nail, put a nail, put a nail. Went up to the next floor, put the plywood to the outside, put my block out. I mean, dude, it was so perfect, dude. So perfect all the way up, you know. Well, next thing you know, they start framing on like second or third floor. And they're like, hey, your blockouts are moving. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, they're moving. You're whatever your layout you did was wrong. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I used gravity. Like, gravity's not wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. Like, I didn't take any measurements anywhere in the building. I just went straight up. And they're like, yeah, you're moving by 3/4 of an inch every floor. And we had specific requirement for that bus duct to be 6 inches off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't go 6 inches, 5 1/4, 4 inch, you know, I can't do that. And they're going to have to move the wall out. And so they were all freaked out. We had to like move our electric rooms and all this stuff. And they're like, oh, you screwed up. We're going to prove it. We're going to go to your boss. We're going to prove that you screwed up. And I was like, all right. So they start realizing, and by the time they got to the 8th floor, I think it had moved 4 inches, right? And I was like, wow. I was like, that's a long way to move, you know, 4 inches to move. And what ended up happening was they had a surveyor that was shooting the points for all the contractors to measure off of, and he wasn't accounting the height.
Oh, so it was him.
Every time it moved the control line a little bit. But the thing that was funny about it was they had to do so many crazy things to like ship the walls and everything. Dude, the bricklayer was madder than hell. Like the bricklayer, he hated that building because he had to like soap one side. He had to have like a little like 1 inch brick on like the first level. And then by the time he got to the roof, he had to have 4 inch gap, you know, to make it straight. And then on the other side, he had to have a 1 inch soap on the front and then go all the way to 4 inches out on the bottom level.
Side, yeah.
Yeah, and it was crazy. And like the whole building was tilted 4 inches that direction, you know. And, you know, and it was funny because I learned a lot doing that. But at the same time, you know, it was just, it was weird because it'd be the same thing as using a laser today, you know? I would still do it the same way. I wouldn't take measurements or anything like that.
Well, that's the only way we could do it back in. We plumb bob pretty much everything. We need to go straight up. That's just the way we did it.
100%. Yeah, it was crazy, David. And like I say, that was the first time I really started running work as a foreman. So that was 2004, 2005 era, somewhere in there.
Damn, you're old. You are old, man.
Yeah, first time they had arc fault breakers in residential. Pretty crazy. But all right, we'll let you get your thing going, brother.
All right, here we go. Topic of the week. let's get right on into it. We're in part 18. We're slowly making our way through. We'll get all the way up to Article 495 this evening, and then next week we'll be knocking it out, getting into 5. So I figure here probably in about 6 weeks we'll knock everything out and show every change that we covered, which was 281 changes. We apologize for not covering 110.26 because there was no change made. But
Yeah, it's hard to cover the ones that didn't exist.
Yeah. Well, all they did here, this is where you get in to recondition equipment. This deals with your electric space heating cables, and they're basically telling you they're if they're installed, it tells you reconditioned equipment can be installed except as permitted in the next one B, and then it just tells you your electric space heating cable shall not be permitted to be installed. Okay? Right. So you can't put those reconditioned in. It just sort of kicks back on each other in a way. I think it's sort of stupid the way they did it. And then they got in. Now, there's going to be a lot that's going to take place here. They added a whole new part basically here, redoing this. And this is going to deal with your conductive pavement heating systems. Okay. Right. And they're going to tell you there's prohibited locations for this type of heating system. They're going to tell you can't install it in hazardous classified locations, and you can install it where there's swimming pools, spas, fountains, and similar locations. Okay. True. Now, one of the things they're also going to look at here is they're going to get in and they're going to talk about these conductive pavement heating systems, and they're going to tell you that these are engineered design systems, and you're required to comply with A through E here, which is you got to have a site-specific design. You got to have a professional engineering required. There's got to be documentation for this, and when you provide this documentation, it is required to be stamped and provided to the authority having jurisdiction. Okay? True. And one of the things that's interesting when you read this, and it gets into the design specifications of it, and it says where you got these design specifications, installations instructions, even your mixture specifications, they're required to have a conductivity test report requirements provided to authority having jurisdiction. That's interesting. Because it's one thing that you're putting this type of system in, but you got to even show your mixture specifications, how this is going to be installed, and have it documented. And then if there's any additional design information, it tells you also here, it shall be provided upon request of the authority having jurisdiction, and then you got to have conformance documentation. So there's quite a bit of requirements here if you're putting in a conductive type pavement heating system. Then,
so I actually kind of like that because that takes a lot of heat off the AHJ because, I've worked as an AHJ before, represented the AHJ previously, and I was able to just say, you know what, this is not my call. And then I send it to my boss. And I'm like, hey, this is not my call, dude. If you want to pass this, then cool. But I don't see how this is even my call. This is my call. It's not your call. We got to get more information on this. So that's actually kind of a good change because it takes it out of the AHJ's hands.
Well, my question is going to be on this: is 210.8F going to override it? Because everything I read here, they're specifically telling you you're going to follow the design engineering supervision and accordance with what? The manufacturer's instructions. Okay. Sure. And this gets into the installation, which is tying right back in with what we just looked at with the engineered design. And you'll see that it gets in and it starts talking about, your conductive pavement mixtures and stuff, and commissioning of the system to who? The authority having jurisdiction. So this goes back once again to what I was talking about. They're going to do for this conductive pavement heating system exactly what the design says. And that's how the AHJ is going to accept it, regardless of what some code making panel thinks.
True. 100%. I agree.
That's why I like to show these type of things.
Well, that's why I like to open cans of worms in the code making panel in the code cycle so that we don't have this stupid crap getting passed.
Sure. And they tell you that these systems are going to have a monitoring system put in place that monitors the surface temperatures, and also have over temperature protection set not greater than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And then it tells you this over temperature condition shall cause the power to the electrodes to be de-energized. Okay. Yep. So it's automatically going to do it. It ain't going to be some GFCI that's going to be doing this. Okay. Yep. And then they get in and talk about the heating system itself, and it tells you that this electrode encasement shall be encased not less than 2 inches of conductive pavement on all sides of the electrode. You got support and securement here of the system, which you would do with anything basically. You got to take into consideration your expansion and contraction. You got to look at your flexural capability. So what this means is, this is where you're installing it on flexible type structures. Okay. And it tells you if you're doing that, because in this case you need flexural capability, that the electrodes and associated equipment shall have a flexible capability that is compatible with the movement of the structure. Then
and they gave us, like, I've actually installed this before, and they actually gave us design engineering where it actually says how much slack to use. Like, you have to leave like 4 inches of loop so that it has enough to expand and contract. But like, they actually give you this in the engineering spec of it, and
don't need it there. Yeah. And then if you look at the electrode power supply, it tells you it shall not exceed 60 volts DC. And they're also going to tell you that it needs to be supplied from what? An ungrounded system from an isolation transformer. So in other words, don't want anything grounded or anything here. It's an isolated system.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that I did, it was really cool. Like, I learned a lot doing it. Like, they are very, very particular. Like, because it's gonna be in concrete, it's gonna be in asphalt. Like, you don't have a chance to do it a second time. Like, you better do it right the first time, or you might as well just hang up your engineering degree. You might as well just hang up your electrical license, because I followed everything to the T, to the spec, and when it was installed, I was super proud of it. It looked so good, and it worked great. Everything worked great.
We've drawn some really nice illustrations on this, and when you actually look at this stuff, I hadn't installed it before. I watched some video stuff, so I know exactly what I was talking about when I got this. Mm-hmm. But they actually have a mesh that goes down that you run the wiring methods and set the electrodes in and everything. Mm-hmm. That's down on it, and then they pour on top of that. It's really interesting, and we drew that stuff so everybody would know exactly what it was. And when you get in and start looking at the wiring methods, and you're putting these power supply conductors in for these electrode stuff, it tells you that these power supply conductors that you are going to be required to use type USE2 copper. And then it's going to tell you that it shall have not less than 12 inches provided within the junction box. Then it tells you that the supply conductors from the control panel to a junction box shall be permitted to be any type suitable for what? A wet location. So
that's interesting that you say wet location. Mm-hmm. So what does USE2 even mean? So that means that
underground.
You can install that conductor in a wet location. So just so everyone knows, like anytime you're installing conductors in a wet location, anytime you see that -2, that means it's a 90-degree conductor. And that means that you can install it in a wet location.
Sure.
So you don't have to go off of so much of this stuff. So THHN, -2, whatever, anytime you see that -2, that's wet location rated. Because a lot of people are like, oh, THHN's not rated for wet location. But if it says THHN/THWN.2, then yes, that is. Because anytime you see that -2, that's a 90-degree conductor and it's listed for wet location.
Sure, and I'm willing to bet if you do something not using your head and you purchase one of them other code change books, I'll bet you they'll mention this, but there'll be one picture of something showing what it is, and they don't go through all this to tell you what you need to do. And we covered everything I'm showing you here. Each one of these sections we covered, illustrated, gave extra information in there, things you need to look at. And sometimes in this case, there wouldn't have been a history thing here, but we put installation tips for things like this, things that you need to look out for. And a good example of one here is you got these supply conductors that are can be directly buried, or if you're going to install them in a raceway, guess what type you have to install it in? You can't install it in metallic. It has to be a non-metallic raceway that's suitable for the temperature and environment. And then it gets into your sensors and control conductors. And once again, what does it tell you? Where you're using that for all that sensor and control conductors, you need to install that in what? A non-metallic raceway. Okay. Yeah. So these are things that they're looking at, and they're telling you all these things that you need to do when you're installing these wiring methods. We've covered all, but those are the main ones I wanted to point out just for that change. Then they get into the electrical connection portion here, and this is where you got your electrode connections. And they're telling you when you make these electrical connections, these electrodes within the conductive pavement system, what is required? It can be connected by exothermic welding. It can be the irreversible crimp type terminal. But if you use that, it's got to comply with these two here. Connector shall be listed for direct burial of concrete encasement, or shall be installed with stainless steel bolts, washer, and nuts. And then you got your circuit connections, and they tell you got your splices and your terminations. Other than on the electrode end, they're installed in a box or fitting in accordance with 110.14 or 300.15. Okay?
Right.
Oh, same rules apply, basically. Then it gets into your GFCI protection. Now, once again, this is why I'm telling you, 210.8F don't apply, because what does this have to deal with? This is an engineered design system. Okay? Yeah. And it tells you GFCI protection shall be provided for all 125 volt, 15 and 20 amp single phase branch circuits supplying equipment installed on the conductive pavement. And then they get in and then they start telling you about the material testing that has to be required, which is what we talked about earlier. Okay?
This might be a little bit of a fight on this one, because this one, I don't know if this is a change, like, this is going to be a tough change, because I believe in the 2023, it was 30 milliamp. I'd have to look, but...
Well, these are on single-phase branch circuits.
I'm going to have to look.
That's just on the single-phase branch circuits, okay? If there's equipment that requires more than that, that's different.
I could have to... Because isn't that snow melting? I mean, what are you using? Like,
that's what I'd look at. It's a conductive pavement heating system.
If it's snow melting, like, I don't see why you would need personnel protection. I don't know.
It's a new type heating system, I guess, that they're coming in with. But they don't want anything metal on it, because if you look, even when I get into the equipment mounting, it tells you structures or equipment mounted onto the conductive pavement surface shall be mounted with non-metallic anchors into the conductive pavement surface.
Yeah, I don't get I don't understand the personnel protection requirement in there. That's interesting. I'll have to do some research on that.
All right. Now, this one, they've added a new, in 430.22, they added a new H that's going to deal with design B, E, and C motors. Instead of me reading all this, because there's a lot of stuff to go through, what I did is I went ahead and put one of our illustrations in that we did for this change.
Damn, that's clean as hell, bro. That looks good.
Well, yeah, give it applause. When you go in and you look at this, we go in and talk about these type of motors. And the thing we wanted to point out here, where you're sizing the conductors and everything, there's certain things that you want to look at. But we show one here where we show the 65 amps here that's given with the motor, and we show calculating the conductor size here. Okay. Then we do another quick calc. Okay. And the reason that we did this is because we wanted to show you could have one of these type motors that is rated at intermittent duty. Okay. And when you go over and look at table 430.22E, it's going to tell you this intermittent duty type motor, you need to take it at 85%. So now I could put a number 6 on there instead of a number 4.
Right.
Okay. So,
100%.
but this gives everybody an idea of what you'll see when you're looking at our code change publication. This is the type of information that we're putting in. Okay. So it's easy for you to follow. And one of the other things that we did here is, and you need to really look at this, and we're actually going to take in our generator transform motor book, we're going to expand on this a little bit, because when you look in note 5, it talks about your locked rotor current. And
right.
this is where it gets into this and things that you need to look at. And then you're going to notice we're going to tie this in with note 6, and this is the formula that they use for that. So
okay,
that's going to take a little more explanation. We figure it's probably going to take us at least a full page with the illustration to go in and explain. As a matter of fact, we'll probably have 2 illustrations for this. We'll use this one, then we'll use another one to further emphasize what that's all about. Okay?
Well, good news. The DJ 85 prediction tonight, 49ers 14, Rams 0.
Okay. Now, this one here, this is where we're looking at several motors and other loads. This is where you're doing your calculation for your conductors, and you take the largest motor, 125%, add all the rest of the 100%. Well, what they did here, this is tying, once again, exception 4 to what we just looked at in 430.22H. And this is where they start talking where you're using these group B, E, or CE motors again. Okay. And you're getting into the same type calculation stuff, but the difference is here, instead of going over and looking and using the table values, you're actually, for these type of motors, you're going to use the nameplate value. Okay. And then you've got to look at all that other stuff, of course. And we're going to expand on that on the motor book. But that's why I went back and I was showing this illustration here, and we're showing what the full load current is. I can tell you by looking at this right here, 50 horsepower, this, well, I don't see us putting it in there, but this would be a 480 volt, and you come in and look at this, or 460, where you call it, you would still have that at 65 amps. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other one it gets into, this is where we're getting into the disconnecting means, and this is where you have your circuits over 1,000 volts AC, 1,500 volts DC. Now, remember, I've told everybody this, they've moved a lot of stuff around when you're dealing with high voltage, and we've looked at that where they have their own parts. They hadn't done this in motors yet, but I expect it to eventually happen. So,
Right.
but right now they just get into the disconnecting means where you're over 1,000 volts, and they talk about your motor controller disconnecting means, and they tell you that it has to comply with 430.102 and shall be lockable in accordance with 110.25. Then you could have the disconnecting means and motor circuits. It'll tell you all the sections to apply to. Then you get in your voltage rating, device type. All of that's, it's almost similar to like looking for a disconnecting means for 1,000 volts or less. And you're referring to all the basically the same sections. Okay.
Okay.
Now, that brings us into 440.2. This is where we get in to your factory assembled HVAC equipment and field installed electric heaters. And basically they just tell you here that if you have factory assembled electric motor driven air conditioning refrigeration equipment, it has to be what? Listed. Okay.
Yep.
Then I look at field installed electric heaters. They tell you here that they're required also to be identified as listed field installable accessory as part of the listed equipment. Now, what does that mean? Okay. And y'all have heard me talk about this before. Let's say that you have a UL 508 shot comes out. And the only reason I know all this stuff because I've worked on it before with doing UL listing of equipment. They come out and they do a field installed type electric heater out there. They do all the work and everything. They look at it and they put a field installed label on there. And the thing you have to look at, if they go out there, they're looking at this, and let's just say you had something, piece of equipment, and we tell you not to do something. And you got somebody come over and say, no, you have to do this. The code says, no, you don't, because it was a field installed piece of equipment. We told you not to do that. Okay. And in other words, who's responsible for the equipment? The people that went out there and did the work on it to determine what the listing and labeling was going to be for that equipment to put that field installed label on it. Okay. So that's what you're getting into there. Then they have, now this is interesting here because they're getting in and they're talking about the split system HVACs here. Okay. And they're talking about the outdoor disconnecting means. And basically they added this section, and this was basically put in to help facilitate for the inspectors, installers, where they can quickly locate the disconnect for the disconnect equipment for the split system HVAC units. Okay.
Well, you know the reason why they have this, right? So
I'm not sure what you're asking there.
So there's actually technically two disconnects. There's the disconnect for the condenser, and then there's the disconnect for the fan coil.
Oh yeah, we actually show that in the illustration.
Yeah, so that's the reason that this is always a problem, like on all our jobs, because they're like, "Where's the condenser?" It's like, "Well, on the roof," and then they're like, "Why doesn't it say it right here?" You know, so that's all this is clarifying is that you have to say disconnect for fan coils on the roof, located on the roof, 26 clicks from due north, but that's the reason that we had to do that, so that you know that, hey, everything, all the disconnects for this equipment's on the roof, even though they were requiring us to have a disconnect for the fan coil unit. I think the disconnect for the fan coil unit is stupid because there's no reason for it. And Ryan Jackson actually did a whole thing on this, which is funny because he said it's a single equipment. So they actually have a whole thing in the code that says if this is a single piece of equipment, once you disconnect that 240 volt on the roof, then you're in an electrically safe work condition. You don't need a disconnect for the 110 volt that's down below. But they're always trying to require us to have a disconnect down below.
Yeah, well, now they're going to require you to mark the location of all those indoor units. So
Yeah,
That's going to
I
take
think
care of it.
yeah, I agree, and that could be a good change if we remove some of this garbage that they're trying to push.
Hmm. And then they did a little change here. Basically, all they did here was make a revision to help clarify and permit the use of multiple terminal bars. And this is if they are interconnected with a jumper, or you're looking at the appropriate cross-sectional area that allows for this additional bonding and grounding conductor connections. Okay. So one of the things I like that they did on this, because they talk about these terminal bars here, and they tell you that they're required here to be installed where it does not obstruct any ventilation openings. And then if you have multiple terminal bars, and if they're used to be interconnected with a bonding jumper of the cross-sectional area, that they're not less than the largest conductor that's connected to either the interconnected terminal bar.
Right.
Okay. So they're just clarifying that just to make sure that you have the space in there to do what you need to do. Now, they did have two changes that took place where they're going to deal with your batteries. And this is going to get into the grounding of your battery stands and your conductive cases. And they're basically just saying that these battery stands, racks, and cabinets, that they are required to be grounded. It's really interesting because right now I'm in chapter 3 of the 70E, and I'm actually in Article 320 that's dealing with the batteries and stuff. And there's some things in there that you have to make sure of when you're looking at your warning signs and everything that's in there. And I saw one where they come in and they actually had a sign, and they said to make sure everything was grounded in there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I could agree with that.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then they get into the over voltage control, and they added this new section to clarify that the batteries are required to provide protection, or not, they're required to have protection from overcharge to prevent any type of hazards. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that should have always been in there. And that gets us through. And next week we'll get into Article 495, and then we'll start knocking out the rest of Chapter 4, getting into 5. So we're, chapters 2, 3, and 4 were the big changes this cycle. So there's a lot there that we'll be looking at, or we've already gone through. So we're almost through, and then we'll really start going through this pretty quick.
Wow, guess who just showed up? Somebody who doesn't know football wants to say the Rams just scored 7 points. Kyron Williams. I'm going against Kyron Williams in my fantasy, so I don't want to see him score.
He making fun because I said they'd score 35 points.
Yeah, so
he just loves to have anything he can say negative towards me. It does, or you too, but but then again, he simps for Ryan, so that's his stick.
It's 14-7. It's 14-7. 49ers, Rams. So Kyron Williams just started getting going. I'm going against Kyron Williams. I don't like seeing him getting going, but I'm down by 12 so far in fantasy. So
what I find interesting? What if the Rams all of a sudden they start getting it going, score 35, and
you're proven right.
And San Francisco gets 21, or what I call the score. You going to come back on here and confess up to you were wrong? No, he won't do that.
I said 31. What did I say? I said 31-20
or 31-20.
Yeah, 31-20. So I don't know, but I mean, the thing is, I actually picked up Kendrick Bourne, one of the receivers for the 49ers, and I think he has like something like 49 yards already or something. So he's looking good sitting on my bench. So it's all good. Weed Man is out of his league to be coming in here talking to us about football. We're the fantasy football experts. So
That's right.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. Should we go to the quiz?
Got ready for the quiz?
Do it. I want to thank Adam so much for making me that video. So cool. So genuinely Christian of Adam to put that in there. And welcome to the Willie Quiz, the best quiz on social media. So much fun. This quiz will definitely stump King James because first question, number one, in 2025 NFL season, the Packers and Cowboys played to a tie. The first tie since when? A, 1965. B, 1974. C, 1987. D, 2002. E, 2012. Good luck, everyone. So,
Okay, I got a question.
I don't want you guys to get this wrong. This is the last time that the Packers and Cowboys tied.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So
It's not the last time the Cowboys had a tie. It's the last time the Packers and Cowboys had a tie.
God, I guess that, man, I was trying to remember back to there. I don't remember them tying in the 80s. So I don't remember any time since then. So I guess A or B. I'll flip on this. Let's see what I get.
All right, let's see your Hillary Clinton flip.
All right. I got tails, so it's going to be B. I don't know if that's right, but I think it's one of those 2 years.
All right,
Oh,
so Daniel answers B first prior to King James. So it looks like you guys have the first correct answer.
Really?
The answer is B, 1974.
Really?
So actually the rules changed after 1974. I didn't even know this. So good guess. Good coin flip there. All right. The most recent NFL tie before the Packers-Cowboy game involved which two teams? The Steelers versus Lions, the Redskins versus Giants, the Bengals versus Eagles, the Texans versus Colts, or E, the Seahawks versus 49ers. Good luck, everyone.
Oh, I was trying to think. I think didn't the Redskins and Giants tie or something recently? Because they both suck. I'm gonna go with B. B sounds close to me.
I don't know if it was recently, but
I think didn't they tie like a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago. They both were sucking and.
ooh,
I'll go with
Daniel's
B.
going.
Oh, really?
Daniel's going B. Oh man. Oh, all right. Let's see.
Really?
The correct answer is B. We have 2 good answers tonight. Good thing I have an awesome tiebreaker.
Wasn't it like 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think yeah. So it was funny because it said the Commanders versus Giants, and so I had to change it to Redskins because I didn't want you to get the,
Okay.
like,
Well,
the Commanders. So it was recently,
Okay.
But it's all good. I can't fool you guys. You guys are too smart. All right. So question number 3. Before overtime rules were introduced in 1974, we just talked about that. Ties were relatively common. Which team holds the record for the most in NFL history? Good luck, everyone.
I think this is the Chicago Bears. I think they had, matter of fact, I think they've had a bunch of ties that I can remember them talking about at one time. Yeah, I'll go with Chicago. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll go with Chicago.
All right. So looks like Daniel.
Oh, God.
Oh, what? Daniel's going A too?
Golly.
Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Let's see. We got a lot of copycatting going on. Let's see how it pays off. Both you guys are wrong. It is actually D, the Arizona Cardinals. And previously, as the Cardinals franchise, they've had 60 ties in their franchise history.
Really?
Which I thought was amazing. I was like, what? 60
Really?
ties. Wow. All right. So, got you guys. Boom. And maybe you shouldn't be little copycatters all the time. All right. So, question number 4. Which of these obscure NFL scores actually occurred in a game? A, 6-4. B, 11-10. C, 5-5. D, 1-0. Or E, 2-3. Good luck, everyone.
Well, 1-0 you can take out. 5-5.
Yeah, I knew. I put
to
that in there on
safety.
purpose. I wanted that to be a knockdown one.
That's 3. Let's see. I'm just trying to add them up in my head. So you get 10. That'd be 7. I don't think that would have happened that way. So 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think that. I think I'm gonna go with E, 2-3.
Ooh, that's a really good one. Let's see. Daniel's going with B, 11-10. Oh, come on, Daniel, dude.
I actually thought about that one. The other ones, I was like, oh, that'd be hard as hell to get those kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. I think King James has a more obscure one that was not a tie. Daniel is correct. It takes a lead. It was 11-10 was the actual thing. It was the San Diego Chargers and another team, like, it was crazy. It was the San Diego Chargers and Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it was like in the 80s. But they said that was the only time ever in the NFL that they had that score. Like, it was an NFL record. Like, all these scores together, like, you could put them in there, like, they never happened except B. So, I did the research.
I guess they got a touchdown, missed extra point, kicked a field goal, and had a safety.
Yep.
See, I was adding those up in my mind, how you got those scores, and I was between B and E.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing that was weird was E was totally made up in that one, but it could have happened. So question number 5. What is the lowest scoring tie in modern NFL history post overtime rule? So this is after 1974. Is it A, 0-0? Is it B, 6-6? Is it C, 7-7? Is it D, 10-10? Is it E, 13-13? Good luck, everyone.
I think I know this one, and I'm going with 0-0.
Ooh.
I
All
think
right.
they went into overtime. Nobody scored or anything. It ended 0-0. Nobody scored.
King James could be right. Daniel's going 6-6. Woo, man, we have some real battles going on here. This is going to be interesting. Coming down to the wire. King James could win it. Daniel wins. He's got the win tonight with 6-6 with the lowest scoring ever. There was never an NFL game that ended in 0-0 tie. So I don't know if they ended up like scoring a field goal that game, James, but they said, you could call me out on this. You could go and do research. If I'm wrong, call me out. I try to do as much research as I can on it. But the thing is, I love it because you said, I want to do a quiz on this. And I was like, cool, I'll do it. I did the research. I looked into it a little bit. And could you believe that the Cowboys-Packers even tied even before it all? I didn't even know that, yeah. I mean, and the whole thing is was that a really good trade for Michael Parsons, for Parsons,
Yeah,
they end up tying, dude, I'll tell you what, I'm a Pickens owner, and man, Pickens in my fantasy was freaking dynamite, man. That was awesome. That was the best game I've ever had with a wide receiver, so I'll hold stock in Pickens all day. But, it's cool. You get guys in here that, come in, act like they know something about football. But it's okay, Weed Man. You don't have to come in here and act like you know anything about football. We know you don't know. And, when you look at it, well, you're only 28 points down from being wrong again, from the great King James proving you wrong again. So you just keep knocking him down, bro. It's all good. We'll just keep holding him up, and you can keep knocking him down. It's all good.
love it.
Yeah, I do too. Pretty awesome. So, right now it's a 17-7 at the halftime. So, like I say, I'm actually impressed with the 49ers, but maybe they put McCaffrey in the Wildcat formation like I told him to. So, should we go into the tool?
Yep. Let me cue it up.
It's time for tool review of the week. Sponsored by the Christian's Only Tool Review and Nipx Tradesman.
So these tool of the weeks are kind of getting driven a little bit differently by me now. I got a new company where they let me kind of get my own tools or tool my truck the way I want, and it's crazy because I see this new Dewalt drill come out and it's freaking everything I want in a drill. Like, it's compact, it's tight, it's got really good battery power, good leverage, like the hand grips are like have good leverage. It's got the most power of any cordless tool out there that I've seen. And to me, the thing that's cool about this, it has Hammerdrill on it, has all these different options, has like the clutch, you can do all kinds of different stuff with it. To me, this is the holy grail of all cordless drills. Like, they finally did it. Like, DeWalt finally made the best one out there. I don't think this could be beat. I could be wrong. I mean, honestly, I could be. But if I'm going to be tooling up my truck from now on, I'm going to be tooling it up with this as my drill. I've actually burned up so many DeWalt drills, drilling 4-inch hole saws, like doing everything, and the battery never died. The battery never died all the way till its death. I mean, smoke rolled out of it all the way till the end. And guess what? I still got my hole through. So, that's a reason I'm kind of a DeWalt fan. Milwaukee, if the battery starts dying, it'll just stop. You have to go get another battery. I don't like that. DeWalt always powers through till the end. So that's kind of my review from my life. I don't know what you call it, life experience with DeWalt. They always power through till the end. Like, the battery never actually dies. It might say it's dead, but you just keep powering through, keep hitting that trigger, it'll just power through and it'll get you through. And this is probably the best cordless drill on the market, in my opinion. If there's one better, message me on Facebook or message me on Instagram and let me know one better. I'll check it out. I'll review it. But honestly, I can't wait to get that one in my toolbox.
Okay.
I mean, they said I'm tooling up my stuff now, so that one's going in my tools. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, so now we got to go to man versus machine, right?
Oh, yeah. We got 2 things left. All right, let me kick it off.
All right.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
I forgot to propose a cheers to Adam
Oh,
for
yeah.
the Willie Quiz. Cheers, Adam. This one's going to be interesting because this got a lot of attention, like, at my work. Like, they're like, oh, what? Like, who cares about pipe
Let's
work?
see. Pipe organs. Okay. What is that? Like Article 660 or 665, 55, something, 650, somewhere in there. I'm guessing at
Chapter
this.
6 for sure.
I'm guessing at this. I'm not 100% sure. I'm doing process of elimination based on some other things that I look at.
Yeah, because we did fire alarm earlier.
Yeah. So I think it'd probably be something like 6 amps. Be 6 or 10, but I'll go with 6.
All right. All right.
Let me
so
go find
you're-
it. Let me go find it.
You're gonna guess. Well, let's do a chat. Let's see what ChatGPT says first. I
Okay.
mean, you say 6 amps. So your final answer is 6 amps.
Yeah. I'll just
So
go
let's
with that.
see. Let's see what ChatGPT says.
Okay, let me go to ChatGPT.
So if you guys are in your class and you're trying to cheat, just go to ChatGPT. It's gonna always get the right answer, right? So let's see who's right, King James or ChatGPT.
Let's see what it says. 5 amps. It says 650.9. Okay, let me go over the NFPA link.
Oh, so I don't even have the right answer in there. Or maybe I do. I don't know. I don't even think I had 5 amps in the
Give me a
question.
second. It's loading right now. Okay, chapter 6. Come down. It's in Article 650. Okay. Got that. That opened up. Let's go down. Let's look. There's overcurrent protection, 650.9. So that was right. No, it's 6 amperes.
Boom! King James beats the machine again!
It
Wow.
actually had the right section.
Yeah.
Uh,
The wrong answer. Wow.
it
Don't
was
cheat on your homework, kids.
right again.
Wow.
Let's see.
Man. that's
Chat
impressive.
GPT, you had the correct National Electrical Code section. However, you stated the wrong text. The let's see, section 650.9 states you need to do better.
I love it.
Chat GPT, or just ask King James.
Nice. I love it. Dude, that's like 120 or something you got right. Like you're like 120-7 or something, or 120-5. Like it's
I
ridiculous.
think I've missed 4 out of
Yeah.
like 100 and God, Aaron knows how many.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it's definitely impressive because you always give the code section and before you get it wrong, which you never do.
It's correcting its mistake right now.
There you go. All right, you
Yep.
kids out there, we're correcting ChatGPT so you guys can cheat on your homework again.
Yep, just showing y'all don't use it.
Yeah, it's all cool. So we have the wall of shame.
Wall of shame, and it's time to go eat. All right, let's
Shame, shame, shame.
shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
So this one you're gonna really love. I know you're gonna love this one because it's the smorgasbord of everything is wrong here. There is so much wrong there. It's like pick
dang.
one. Like it's just like car flex going in, like just oh man, like so much weird stuff going on, like seal tight coming underneath, like reducing washers, like just
It's got
oh,
everything
man.
in here.
Yeah, just like they like can't even shut the cover probably because it's gonna blow up. I don't know. I like when I saw it, I was like, all right, this is a good wall shame one. It's got just a little bit of everything up in here, you know. It's like nothing's level, nothing's plumb, nothing's straight, and disconnects just going everywhere. Just I don't know. Like when I
Yes.
saw that, I was like, yeah.
And
I was
they
like,
just got
thanks.
stuff everywhere.
Thanks, Keith Sawi for posting that, because we
Wow.
got a good look at what it's like to not be a qualified electrician in this age, and that's pretty awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for
Wow.
everyone joining. You know,
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch a little football, grab something to eat. I guess go screw
Well-
up the rest of the night. I'm taking a break, so I need it.
So if the Rams end up scoring 35 points, it's going to be Puka Nakua, my wide receiver in fantasy, that's going to catch all those touchdowns. And so I'm just letting you know right now, just giving you a warning, I might be doing a victory dance and proving Weedman is wrong. He doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. So right on, Jeremy. Thanks for getting all sauced up and being wrong on our show, because you got proven wrong once again by King James. So
I'm just surprised you
Rams
didn't call
score
somebody
35
a name.
points tonight. You heard it here first. We appreciate everyone for joining. Thanks so much. And like I say, you know, they just started the third quarter, and you know,
Yeah, I want to
San
go
Fran's
catch the
leading.
last half.
Yeah, but we appreciate it. Join us on Monday. We will have a great Monday Morning Coach show.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate you guys joining us, hanging out. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate you. DJ85 has his own segment now. It's called the score prediction for the night. Next one up is Monday night. He's going to have to predict the Monday night score prediction, who's going to win and score. And we'll see you again there on Monday night.
Amen. Everybody have a good weekend. We'll see y'all Monday, and some of y'all will see Thursday.